I'm going to show you another colour mix exercise. This time I'm going to be dealing with the tongue. I'll bring you closer so you can see the tongue better, and the colours that we'll be using are over here. I'm going to show you both the lighter part of the tongue and the darker part of the tongue. Now you can't see that very clearly in there, but rather than just a black blob, which I suppose if I put my finger there that's what it looks like, it's going to have a colour in it, and we're going to put a base colour in there that will give us a better impression of this than the actual photograph does. So let's get on with it. Now in the light area of the tongue we're going to start with a white, and the reason I do that is because we have a sand coloured paper which works in other areas, and it also allows of course the white to show up, but we have to create a better reception area for the pinks that we're going to be using in a moment. Now I'm going to make that quite a strong tone, but not overly so. You can still see the paper showing through. Just give that a little blend. Use your finger here, but normally I would use a colour shaper for anything like this. And then I'm going to put the pink on. Now the pink is 132. Now leaving this section alone, we come from here so that we can see the build-up. And the pink is also a brilliant base colour, and it rubs into the paper really well, as you will see in a moment. Again, you can use your finger here. Lovely. You see how, look, the coverage of that is brilliant, isn't it? Not a great deal of difference here between the two, but this really starts the process of colouring. Now the next colour I'm going to be using is a 131. Now this starts the darkening process. So this will be going on there. Again, I'm going to leave a section there so that you can see. Now we don't have to be too strong with this, because we've got another colour that we want to put on as well. And just use, a good idea to use a blender now. I'm using an ivory as opposed to grey because it's softer. You could even here use the tapered colour shaper as well. That would work. There we are, now get that in. Now you've got the three tones now. As I say, it's not until you get to this one that you start seeing the depth. And now the last colour I'm going to be using is this one. Now this is 124. And different animals would have, and different photographs would create a different blend of colours. But this one is really good because it's so close to the original. And again, blend that in. I'm actually going to do that twice because I want to make it just a little stronger than that. Now this wouldn't be all over the tongue, this would be in sections of the tongue where I want the dark lines, for instance, or shadow areas to be, but it's still in the lighter area. Now there we are. Now look at the colour that we have there. We've ended up with a really attractive, but you see there's not a great deal of difference until you get to this one. It's almost split in half there, the light and the stronger colours. Now when we get to the next area, which is in here, this is the one that would cause a lot of problems, and you think, well, what colour do I do there? Now what you don't do is use a completely different range of pencils. You pick up the pencils you've already used. For instance, if I was to put 131 and 124, they could act as base colours here. But then we're going to add two more on. One is 194 and one is 181, and I'll show you these as we go along. So we're going to use four colours again here, but we're going to miss the first two. If we were to put those in, we would never get the strength here. So basically what we're doing is we're putting this one in first, which is our medium colour. Now this will not blend in as well as those have. Now I know a lot of you would have had a problem with tongues. I know that because I've been asked the question several times, and I've done a few blogs explaining what is needed. But this is research is going to be really interesting. Now I'm making sure that I've got enough, but I'm not blending too hard. I've used the side of the point of the pencil. You probably can see that. There we are. That's a good angle. That's so I don't crush the paper, because at this stage what we don't want to do is to crush the paper and not allow the other three colours to register. Now here I'm going to blend it. Now you'll see what I mean now about the blend. You can still see the paper through that. If I wanted a stronger blend, all I need to put that colour on again, but I don't need to. This is really a tonal thing now. We're trying to create a dark colour at the end. When we get to this end, you'll have the tongue and the dark colour side by side, and you'll see an amazing difference between the two. Okay, that'll do. Now the next colour in the range is 124. Go from here. Now here you'll see quite a difference between the band at the top and the band at the bottom. That's giving us now a really nice reception area for those dark colours. And you will see by the time we get to the end that there will not be any paper showing through at all, because the darker colours on top of this 124 will fill the paper up. You can already see that the paper is filled up more here than it is there. Now the third colour is 194. Now this one goes on, again, using the side of the point of the pencil so as not to crush the paper. You probably get bored of me saying that, but I tell you what, it's so important. There we are. Now that's good, isn't it? It's giving us a light. Now when I blend this, there's no need to clean that off because we're using all the same colours. Now you can see how much of the paper is actually filled up. Just bear with me a minute, because it's very important now that I do get all the paper basically filled, because the darker colour I'm going to be using now will not work if it's put onto raw paper. Lovely. The last colour is 181. Now there's several colours we could choose for this really. I could use a black, and actually I might even touch a little bit of black at the end of this. I've got enough room here to show you that you could actually do that. But anyway, this is the 181 that will give us the darker tone. And as you can see, it is an amazing difference between them. Why did all these colours work? Well, this is a bluey Payne's grey, which is a bluey grey, so it's in the same cool tones that these are. This is why it works on top. If we put black directly on this, it wouldn't have worked. But I could put black on top of this, because this acts then as a cushion between the two. That's good. I'm going to go right along the end, because I'm going to put some black on the end there just to show you that if we wanted to, we could in fact make it even darker than that. Could you, I hear you say, put these colours on top of that? Well, you could, but you'd never get it dark enough, because these lighter colours influence a strong tone at the end. Okay, so it's really important that you do it like I'm showing you. Okay, now I'm going to put just a little bit more 181 on there. The reason I'm doing that is because I want that just to be just a touch more strength to it. But what we have, you see, is not 181 as a colour, we have 181 as a darkening agent, because you can still see the influence of those colours in the black. Now back to the black. Let me just, I haven't got the black out because I didn't intend doing it. It's just an afterthought really, but let me get the black out. Just forgive me a minute, I won't stop the video. delve into my jam jars and find a black. 199. Now 199 can go on the end. Now it may not be necessary to do this, but I'm just showing you that if you did want to do it, you can actually add that as a fifth colour on top. That would then blend in, and once again you can see the difference that that would make. And then you can work a little bit of magic. Once you put the black on, you can then put back on the 194, which was way back here, and that can go back over the top of that just to change the tone slightly. You think, well, I can't see any difference there. No, but if you were to see this from where I am, you would actually see that as being a, you don't need to change that because we're mixing the colour. You can see it as a slightly pinker colour. Now that is fantastic. And this is a fantastic exercise for you to see how the relationship between the two bands of colours which we're using here. Now there are changing. I mean, I very often, if you see me do it, I might change the colours. I might change the way I do it. But basically, this is a very, very good idea. The difference here. Look at the difference between here and here. Now this would be that separation there. However, let me just show you something that's really interesting in. If I wanted that to be just a little less strong than that, what I would do is I'd put the colour, which is 194, in between, and I'd blend it out using the colour. See that? Buffering, I call this, between the two. I can't use the dark side, but I can use the lighter side of this, and you'll see that you get a much softer effect, a diffused effect there. Okay, now that is really interesting, isn't it? I hope you've enjoyed that. I'm coming back with one more on the German Shepherd, and that will be to show you the difference between the brownie tones, these tones here. See you then.